Hi, everyone. Thanks all for joining this session. It's a pleasure to welcome everyone and have Keith from the Mines of Dalarnia to participate in this AMA. As a quick intro, for those of you who do not know, Mines of Dalarnia is an amazing action adventure game enabled by blockchain. But I'll let Keith tell us more about the project. And just before we kick off, just want to let everyone know that we have a reward for today. Please feel free to submit questions in the comment section wherever you're watching, whether that's YouTube on the Binance Live app or Twitter, and you'll have the chance to win $100 worth of DAR token. Keith, welcome. We're excited to hear more about what you're building, and would like to give the floor to you now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm Keith McCullough. I'm kind of game director on Mines of Dalarnia. Like Alex said, Mines of Dalarnia is it's a mining, action, crafting, sort of sci-fi game where pretty much everything is on the blockchain, either as a token or as an NFT. And we are in testnet right now, and mainnet launch is next Tuesday, so very soon, the 26th. So we're really excited and just want to kind of talk about the game and answer questions and stuff today.
Amazing. So maybe we can start with a quick footage or a demo of the gameplay, if that's something that we could do. I think the audience would love that.
Yeah, so I can share the trailer, the new mainnet trailer, and screen share that from here. I can't actually play on this computer, but hang on one second. Here we go. Hopefully this comes through okay. All right, yeah. So that's our game. That's our new trailer. I think we just put up a few days ago.
Amazing. Thanks a lot for showing it to us. Yeah, so we saw a good. We had some good footage and walkthrough of the game, which is great. We look forward to the launch next week. Some of the the things that I wanted to cover on this session, I was wondering about your progress and the development of the project over the last 6 months, up to where we are right now, and obviously the mainnet launch next week. So if you could share parts of your journey, how you got to where you are right now, and some of the highlights, and maybe some of the learnings that you had with us. That would be very interesting for us to hear.
Yeah, for sure. So we started making Minds of Dalarnia back in 2019. We partnered with ChromeAway, working on the Chromia chain, which is really cool, like kind of database-backed, relational database-backed gaming-oriented blockchain that's in testnet right now. And we originally started with the intention that has not changed, which is we wanted to make, we love playing mining games, stuff like Terraria, Minecraft, SteamWorld. These kind of games where you explore underground environments and get resources and then use them to build stuff with. And we wanted to do that only on the blockchain because it seemed like it made a lot of sense. It seemed like it'd be really cool if the resources and the equipment and everything were real, were backed up by blockchain assets. So that was the original concept, and that has stayed the same the entire time. The technology has evolved. We started with a web game 1.0, it's known as, and that different approach to how we were issuing rewards from the game, and took a lot of learnings from that, both about what content we could use in the back end and also what's safe to do in a blockchain game, because you have to kind of adjust your design on blockchain. You can't, if your design is too abusable or can be taken advantage of, then people can exploit and take out resources and things. So there were a lot of revisions that went into that. And then earlier in 2021, we got some funding to kind of push the game to the next level, and that led to version 2.0, which is obviously like a significantly more robust game with more modern graphics, and it's a desktop installed application that is what we're launching soon. And that one has a lot more features, is a lot bigger, a lot fancier, and it's got we have big plans for it, as we'll talk about here a little bit. It's got a lot of plans for growth over the next couple of years.
Amazing. And with regards to the next couple of years, maybe we can focus over the next 12 months. What are your goals for this year? What would you like to achieve by the end of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to launch and make sure it's stable and solid, and we have a good foundation. We've been testing that for a few months now, which we can talk about in a bit. And then, our immediate plans after launch are, we want to keep on adding content. We want to have monthly updates that will add things to the game, and we also want to make sure that we increase our social features. So obviously, we want there to be multiplayer shared spaces in the game, which are not in at launch, and where you can see other players and see their equipment, and eventually, compete with them, have events that people are, racing to and competing on, and stuff like that. Those are like our immediate targets, so that the game has a life and a community in itself, and that there's always something going on. We know that we can't produce enough PvE content to keep people busy all the time, so we're trying to kind of create systems on top of our gameplay that is already fun and has the fun game elements, and then have layers on top of that keep people coming back and keep people want to play and unlock and craft cool new equipment, and then also show it off, because what's the point of having cool equipment if nobody else can see it?
Yeah, for sure. Makes a lot of sense. If we were to go a bit deeper into the some of the game mechanics and the gameplay, we know that the Mines of Dalarnia has in-game real estate, and the land is divided into public and private plots. Could you tell us a bit more about what's the difference between the two, and how the economy behind the renting of the mining plots actually work?
Yeah, so when you buy land and land sales so far, you pretty much get a ticket, and the mainnet planets, all the plots are minted and get distributed to the people who have the tickets. When you own a piece of land. It's like a little chunk on a planet in Mines of Dalarnia. At launch, there are 3 planets, and each one has, I think, 1,600 plots. So there's, 5,400, something like that, different plots. And you, each one has some of its own stats as far as like what resources are on there. They're not wildly different at launch. We want the differences to kind of come over time as people are able to like upgrade and care for their plots and kind of let their own land distinguish itself. But there are differences. So depending on the lands you get, they will have some different resource allocations and things like that, and different biomes for the depths. There are 4 different biomes in the game, which are like, they really affect how the gameplay plays when you actually go in and do a dig. So back to the question, when you the difference between owning land and renting, basically the only real difference is that when you own land, you can dig on it for free, and if you rent land from somebody else, when you're on it, you can do a dig on it for a small fee that goes to that landowner. So you pretty much rent a dig from them. Every plot only has so many digs worth of resources in it, and once they are depleted, the landowner needs to use what's called a terraforming capsule to refill that plot so people can dig on it again. This loop is important because terraforming capsules are crafted by miners. That's where they come from. They could take resources to craft. So both sides of the equation need each other. Landowners need miners to get resources to make terraforming capsules, and miners need landowners to mine. So the idea being that there's an in-game marketplace. It functions like a DEX basically, where people can sell the terraforming capsules they created, landowners can buy them, refill their plots, and then people can dig, which gives money back to the landowners. So the hope is that it's like a good economic loop, so everyone has a way that they can make money whether they own land or not.
Right. Thanks a lot for going through that. Very interesting. Could you tell us a bit more about actually how you came up with the whole idea and the concept behind the game? What was the genesis and the origin for the entire project?
Yeah, it was very collaborative. I mean, we're a big team here, and we're also working with the Chromeway team, and we kind of like quickly figured out we wanted to make a sci-fi mining game, and the rest of it kind of just like grew naturally from there, and it's kind of still growing. I mean, the lore of the world, we have just posted, I think, 1 article about it, and there's a few more, and it's sort of evolving as the game evolves, and the actual um, core concept of just like doing space and finding something that everyone thought was cool. So the name actually comes from I believe a region in Sweden, which is where Chromeway is located, and there are a couple references to that kind of thing. The lore both has references to Sweden stuff and to lots of blockchain stuff, so it's kind of fun.
Right. Yes. Heard of Dalarna, never visited in Sweden, so very interesting. Right. So now talking about the team, could you tell us more about your team? How many are there? What roles? Like, what is everyone doing?
Yeah, so counting myself, there are about 10 people working on the game. And there are let's see, 3 game developers, a backend developer, a blockchain developer, several 3D artists, UI artist, illustrator. So it's a pretty standard game team. We have some support staff that helps with like sound effects and stuff like that. But the main team is really that group who's working on it every day.
Right, got it. Yeah, we're we're well aware that the team drives a lot of the success. So as you mentioned, like the genesis of the project coming from a collaborative setup is something that makes a huge part of the success. So yeah, it's great to hear. We saw the Mines of Dalarnia, the testnet has been launched early March, so a month or so ago. How was the response from the community? How did they react to some of the changes that you made so far? And do you have any key learnings that you'd like to share with us as part of that process?
Yeah, testnet's been really amazing. It's been up for, I don't know, maybe almost 2 months now, and it's been extremely fantastic. The community's been very supportive and helpful, identifying, um, both just bugs and also giving feedback. We take feedback to heart quite a lot. It's really important what people think, and a lot of the changes in the game in the past 2 months have been driven by community feedback. Um, I will keep doing that after launch as well, for sure. Both having a test net running, I believe, and also, you know, taking community feedback in and bringing that back into the game. I think that it's common, to be kind of like scared of Discord communities in this industry, and we just haven't. I feel like our Discord community is fantastic, and everyone just has a lot to say, but it's all like well-meaning and good stuff and feedback that is great. So yeah, I mean, just a few of the things in the past few months that have changed based on feedback. We changed the controls significantly. We sped up a lot of things. We like changed a lot of how some of the DUI features work to make more sense, and just kind of adjusting everything as people play it and come back and say, "Hey, this is confusing," or "Oh, this is so slow, it's annoying. I want this to be faster and stuff." And it's made the game a lot better, I think.
Right. Thanks for the insights. Yeah, very interesting to hear the progress. Yeah, as we're approaching the launch, as you mentioned, next week, what should we expect from the mainnet build, especially like if you compare it to the testnet?
Yeah, it'll be pretty similar. The launch is a huge thing. For the past couple of days, we've had testnet down because we're doing a bunch of server changes. We are we're excited about the launch. Obviously, I think that is going to be some growing pains and stuff like that as we kind of get a large player base in. But it's going. It is looking really good. The game's in good shape, and I think that uh, we're we're going to be then rolling into a monthly update schedule, like I mentioned, where we have something substantial to update every 4 weeks in the build. Sometimes they'll just be like, new monster or something like that, and sometimes there'll be major updates that have like major new features, and that's the plan for the foreseeable future.
Got it. That's yeah. Thanks a lot for sharing some of the plans that you have for the future. And we're definitely like waiting for the mainnet build next week. Let's talk a bit more about some of the unique NFTs that you already issued. So, in Minds of Dalarnia already issued a couple of unique NFTs, such as the Mining Ape NFT, the Robo Canary NFTs, and obviously the land, which underpins the real estate economy behind it. Can you explain what the use cases for all of these NFTs are, and how players can get them?
Yeah, so the apes they're like VIP pass NFTs essentially. So ape holders get a bunch of benefits. They have so far previously gotten some airdrops of but they each got a bird, got access to one of the land sales early, and will continue to have benefits in the future as far as like special cosmetic armor that we'll be getting for launch and things like that. So it's sort of like it's like a VIP pass. I believe apes also get a free mining pass when the game launches.
Right.
The canaries they're pets. They're cosmetic pets essentially. They actually in the future at launch they will not, but there's a plan for the special canaries. They have a special ability that will help you in the mine navigate a bit. At launch they're just cosmetics, so they're essentially They have cool looks, and if you don't have one, you still get a canary if you don't have one of the special skins. It's just kind of like a little rusty one, but you still have one. Everyone gets one, and then there are like different versions of it. And the land obviously is the land NFTs, which we discussed. There are
Yep.
others as well, though. I mean, there are what we call hollows for holograms, which are they're like transmogs and other games. They're armor sets that are only cosmetic that you can like apply over your functional armor. So at launch, there are a few of those that are being given out as rewards for various things that for people participating in testnet 1.0 and 2.0 testnet, people who have apes. There are a few of those and a few, I think, to be announced that we'll be giving out. And those, again, they're unique NFTs that, in the game, their purpose is to make you look cool, essentially. They just make you look different. So there are a bunch of NFTs that are kind of like already circulating. The apes you can just buy, and the canaries. I don't know if the canaries are sold out or not, but I believe the canaries and the apes are you just get them on the open market right now. Land was done through like a land sale kind of platform that is now closed. Those are sold out. And then the other ones you have to be airdrop based on participating in promotions and early test nets and stuff like that.
Got it. Thanks for sharing some of the details around the NFT part. Talking about the land NFTs actually. So I think you just recently concluded the last land sale. Could you tell us a bit more about the results of that sale? I think we spoke about the kind of bit of the differences between the types of land, the public and private ones. But if you want to share anything else specifically around that, feel free to do so. And I think we have some interest to learn more about how the land is actually used in the game itself. Like, we spoke about the economy, but how does it actually affect the gameplay and the mechanics of the game itself?
Oh yeah, sure. So the land sales were really successful. They all sold out. Had huge amounts of DAR and BNB staked. So the way it worked is you staked to like get a chance at a ticket. So we had millions of dollars worth of DAR staked for all 3 land sales, and they all sold out. So the land tickets are all out right now, and I think people will begin to land probably in the next couple of days. I think the main NFTs. So as far as what they do in the game, okay, so each planet has got a map, and each map is like a grid of little land plots. They'll have their own little pixel art piece that is like part of the greater pixel map of the world. Each one has 3 depths that are increasing difficulty with the power level attached to them, and the depths also have biomes attached to them. A biome is like a kind of like a level type. So there's Terra, which is a sort of planet. These planets are Terra worlds, kind of Earth-like. There's Crypt biome, which is spooky and purple, and has sort of, it's deliberately mysterious why there'd be crypts in a terraformed planet. That's something to be discovered in the story in the future. There's a jungle biome, and there's like a rock stone biome. So the different lands will have different biomes at different difficulties with different resources that you can get from them. So if you want to go to if your character, oh yeah, also your character needs special gear to mine some of the more challenging biomes. So there's like some interplay there where you might be well geared up to do a high level crypt biome. So you want to go find one that also has the resources you want, select that one, and then rent that plot to dig that one out. So that's like exactly how like the plots interact with the gameplay. Once you're actually in the game session, the runs are procedural. They're almost like they're like roguelike sort of short session digs. The digging in the land is doesn't like you're not like dig it out like permanently. It's all like for that run, and you're trying to find resources in the dig to increase your score and fight monsters and not die, and then get back out to bring out essentially to have a larger haul of rewards when you exit the dig.
Right. Very interesting. Thanks a lot for going to a bit more depth about the land and how it works in the game. But definitely a lot of interest around that part from the audience. And talking about the audience, we have quite a few questions from the audience themselves. Just to remind everyone, please feel free to feedback some questions or comments to us. There's a chance for you to earn $100 in DAR equivalent. So we encourage participation. So the first question from the audience is, how do you actually plan to attract gamers to the project? There's a lot of talk like between the difference of traditional gamers and more kind of blockchain enabled crypto gaming game players. So do you have a specific go-to-market strategy or thinking behind how you're going to approach and attract those to the Minds of Dalarnia?
Yeah, I think that's partly why this game is more of like a traditional video game than a lot of what you see in the space. And it's something that excites us, and as people, as someone like myself who likes traditional video games but also likes blockchain stuff, I like to see people pushing further into like the more video gaming models that are also blockchain backed. So I think our game automatically has some of that crossover appeal. I mean, being realistic in the current time frame, like our audience is mostly going to be people who are already interested in crypto and in the crypto space, and we're fine with that. I think that at the start, like that's what I want to focus on. I want to make sure that we're creating something that is for our market because that's who we're all. Or that's us. But bigger picture, I think MOD is positioned to attract people who are outside the space because when you look at it, it on the surface is a cool looking flashy video game with nice modern graphics and it looks fun to play. Well, it is fun to play, and it's something that can bring in people I think who aren't already just like inherently interested or just automatically part of the space. And I think that's something that we can lean into more as we grow and as we improve the usability of interacting with the wallets and make everything easier for people to kind of step in and maybe provide a path for people who otherwise wouldn't get into space and maybe specifically come into it because MOD looks interesting and it's a way to onboard them for playing in a crypto and NFT kind of environment.
Got it. Yeah, thanks a lot for the answer. Good question, whoever sent it. So we spoke about the NFT part, the real estate economy within the game. A question we had here is with regards to the token. I don't think we covered that, so it's a good chance probably for you to share any thoughts that you might have, like whether any plans to burn the token, any other features and utility that points that you want to really highlight, and just general, if you could explain the in-game economy related to the token, that'll be interesting to hear.
Sure. So the token utility is something that we think can be really extensive. Right now, the token is used for renting, for crafting. You spend some for craft. You need a token to buy the mining pass to play the game. I believe it's $20. Didn't really mention this. So the game is a free to play section. It's got a free planet where you can check the game out and dig copper and play the game. but to fly to try to fly off to the bigger planets with all the stuff I said about the different biomes and the higher level materials and the purchasable land and stuff, you need a mining passport, metagalactic mining passport, and those are actually purchased directly in the game using DAR. So it's not like you go out to a third party. It's like inside the actual app, you buy it with 20 DAR. So right there, that's like an immediate DAR kind of interaction that everybody who wants to really get serious with the game will be doing. And then once you're actually in there, right, there's crafting expenses. There's an in-game DEX for resources, the marketplace, where you can buy and sell resources that you get for DAR. So that's also really big. We are working on a equipment marketplace where you can actually buy and sell the crafted pieces for DAR as well. That will not be ready for launch. It's high priority, obviously. So bringing that into the game will be good too, because what we want all of our game transactions to be happening with DAR, and not as much as possible not on third-party markets. Of course, that's totally doable. It's NFTs, that's fine, but we'd like people to be staying in our ecosystem. And all these things are mostly in the game client itself, so you don't have to go leave to a website or something like that.
Cool. Yeah. Very, very interesting. One other question we had was with regards to the feedback, or actually engaging the community post mainnet launch. So question we had was, will there be any bug bounty programs or any other feedback program for users, to provide their inputs back to you, so you can take that on board, or just get a sense of what the community is thinking and what they're expecting in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's something that we are really interested in setting up as a bug bounty program for sure. It's been more holistic during testnet, obviously, with people just sort of testing it, but making sure that we reward people for finding bugs and issues, I think, is something we want to organize. Otherwise, we're pretty active on Discord, and I think just general feedback gets heard through that as well. A little different than a bounty, but you can kind of we can sift through the kind of feedback we get, and some of that we think makes sense will get implemented as well. I do think that, like I said before, it's really important what the community wants and what the community thinks, and I think the community will probably help us determine some of the direction the game grows in the more medium-term future. There's a certain amount of lag on that, but as people are playing the game, we're seeing how people are enjoying it and what's working. I fully anticipate that we'll be, adjusting course to make sure that we're hitting things, fixing issues, and adding features that are in tune with what the community is interested in from the game.
Right. Great. Thanks. Good question. Good answer. Another question we had was with regards to your mobile app release. So, as it stands right now, you're going to release it later this year, potentially.
Yeah. So the mobile app is the initial plan for that is really it's more like a companion app. It's
Right.
a market, and you can if you're a landowner, you can check in your land or replenish it. You can probably craft, do the buy and sell, browse the marketplace. That's the kind of thing that it's intended to be. If we can get the actual gameplay of any sort on mobile, that would be really great. I'm definitely not promising that right now. That's a significant new amount of effort, and there's a lot of stuff we want to do first. Big picture, I would love MOD to be on consoles and to be everywhere, but that's out there, right? For now, the mobile app, the initial release would be more of a companion marketplace
Got it.
kind of thing.
Understood. Yeah, that's very good detail. Thanks a lot for sharing. Actually, we had a question, mentioning about consoles. We had a question about the virtual reality integration. So I guess the same answer can be applied here. Maybe at some point in the future, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, consoles are an obvious jump, but right for now they're not even allowed. But even if they were, it'd be a huge thing. But I mean, that's the sort of game that we'd love to be. It's just, it's a road to get there.
Of course. Right. In terms of your plan to promote this project outside your main kind of countries, which I guess primarily are countries that are English speaking, or the ones that have very high kind of percentage of English speakers, are you planning to have kind of a localization for other geographies, for you to kind of expand to those, and for the communities to adopt the game in outside of the countries that would organically come?
100%. Localizing the game after it's, like, once it's launched and we have time to like go through and do localized versions. That's something we absolutely want to do. It's pretty high priority for us. The text and everything in the game was deliberately developed to be dynamic and translatable. So going through and having versions of the game in different for different regions with different um, all the localization text in there is something we put in as high priority for sure.
Great to hear. I think that we might have a few audience members in this session that would be keen, to see that.
Yeah, yeah. No, we want people playing it everywhere for sure.
Yeah, makes sense. So just to remind the audience, please feel free to send us questions. As I mentioned earlier, you have the chance to win $100 worth of DAR tokens. So we expect more questions from you. Another question that came earlier, whether you could you could tell us a bit more about how or what would be kind of the three killer features that would differentiate MOD versus other similar games in the space?
Yeah. So for launch, I mean, I think the killer features are that like it's a actively fun to play video game that in some ways could stand on its own without the blockchain backing, which is fairly rare in this space. Usually, gaming in the space is more like kind of like investing or DeFi or something, and not necessarily like a straight up video game. Um, I think that's one. I think the depth of the mechanics once you get into them right now, and especially as we just keep adding layers, there's really quite a lot to making perfect armor and picks and equipment. It's not just like you make a copper piece of armor and that's done. They can be upgraded. They have perks that are attached to them that can be combined to level those up as well. So there's a huge difference between like the ideal Ozymandium pick and one that is just kind of slapped together as far as like what kind of bonuses it can have. There are also rare perks that are something really powerful and funny. One that everyone really likes is called Exploding Head, which is a pick that every so many strikes causes a bomb blast to go off. Doesn't hurt you, but it does destroy a bunch of tiles. Seems really powerful. It is really powerful. Sometimes it drops you to the floor into a bunch of monsters, which is bad. But it's definitely like a pick that just having that perk on it changes the way the game plays a bit. And then if you were to level that perk up and upgrade that pick and actually keep the perk on the pick, because there's some logic I won't go into here about like combining things in certain ways to keep perks on them. You can get one that has like a leveled up version of Exploding Head on it. So those kinds of like mechanical complexity depth things that are more like RPG-ish, I think are interesting and will also drive value in the future, right? Because those picks are the ones that will be selling on marketplaces ahead of ones that are just kind of random. So that's something that I think is a standout feature. And then I think in the future, may have the third one be something that's a little more post-launch, having the community and multiplayer kind of features in there, shared space stuff. There are plenty of games that are doing some shared spaces, but most of them aren't also backed by a robust mining and interaction game. So we'll be able to have competitions and leaderboards and events and challenges and stuff that all revolve around playing a game, and less about just kind of like hanging out in a space. Though you'll be able to do that too. So I think those are like three things that really will make MLD different from other things in the space.
Right. Thanks. Thanks for covering that. So some of the highlights that you mentioned are very interesting for sure. A question that we got from the audience was somewhat related to what you started covering earlier in our session about so the origin of the game. And the question is whether you had any inspiration from movies, animes, novels, or other kind of sources of inspiration to create the concept for the game, and whether you considered to expand MOD into kind of its own universe or potentially like a whole metaverse. We talked about Sweden as an inspiration for the name, but any other inspiration sources that you had that you want to share?
Yeah, so I mean, again, it's a big team, and I think like I can't speak for some of the art direction because there's definitely some inspiration there, and there's a bunch of people who are involved in like creating the look and feel of this game and these characters and the kind of like sci-fi universe that it has. But I mean, it's inspired by a lot of sci-fi, and even the lore that is out there or lore that's coming out there is definitely, it's definitely got some future dystopic sort of vibes to it, where everything is controlled by a one-mind AI, and it's developed these terraforming capsules that you can drop on uninhabitable planets and immediately make them inhabitable and full of resources, which seems great. And everyone flocks to this kind of gold rush opportunity to these new planets, and they need these special passports and everything to go there. But everything isn't quite right. There are monsters being created in the depths of these planets. There are weird things happening, like ruins appearing, which doesn't make sense if you're being terraformed. There's something up with these capsules, and maybe no one's quite sure why they're doing what they're doing. And the only thing that really knows is the AI that rules the galaxy. So there's a lot of like setting sci-fi fantasy going on in there that is somewhat visible in the game, and over time I think it will be fun to evolve. We've got some journal entries and stuff to put out as well, so definitely inspired by quite a few things, and then we're kind of excited to see how the whole thing evolves over time.
Got it. Interesting. Thanks. Thanks for sharing. Mentioning about the planets, I think you have a few of them. So like Terra Praxis and a few more. Like, could you cover maybe a bit about the difference between each one of them and give us a bit more highlight? Obviously, we'll get to know it when it launches, but if you can maybe share some details around that, that would be super interesting.
Yeah, so the three planets are Terra Prime, Terra Simia, and Terra Praxis. And wait, no, Praxis is the moon. And they are Terra Caldera is the third planet, and they are all at the moment they're pretty much just different maps. They're procedurally generated planets. So like the difference between them is you have to fly to each one independently. Once you're on one, you can travel around the planet and go to the plots you want to mine there. You do actually have to move around the planets, and you kind of like the way that works is you have a map that where your miner is located, and when you click move, you use a little bit of energy, and then you can move through spaces. The energy is not supposed to be like a mobile mechanic. You get the energy back by digging. So if you dig, you refill energy. It also comes back overnight. But you can go all day long. It's not like a mobile game where you get blocked because you're out of energy or something like that. The purpose of it is to limit navigation around the planet, because in the future, as we add more features to these planets and as people are able to upgrade their plots, and we obviously have some ideas for like how we can involve staking, and like, the planets also have these regions. Each planet has got 16 regions. That's my ideas for how like we can have like region-wide things and events and all these things that are like locational. Moving around the planets will become more relevant. Right now, it's kind of something you just sort of do to go someplace, but in the future, we want to make like where you are matter more. So the sort of like long answer to that is the planets are they're cool. They have their own maps. They have their own. Everyone has their own plots. The plots have funny little randomly generated names. Some of them are cool and some of them are ridiculous. And then as we go, we'll have stuff built up on the planets, but some of that will be built by the players, right? Some stuff will be like, this section has been really well developed and these people are taking good care of their plots, and there's like, they've been upgraded, they're being terraformed regularly, they're good. And then like other section, I don't know, this little area for some reason is sort of abandoned, like, and that's fine. I think that kind of like natural sort of emergent evolution of the planetary identity is interesting and cool.
Right. So probably we can get a couple more questions, and if there are any other remaining points that you want to highlight or share with us, that would be super helpful. So thanks a lot so far for covering a lot of the questions from the audience. One question I had from my side was with regards to developing on BNB Chain. So if you have any insights to share with regards to building on BNB Chain, I'll be very keen to hear those.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I'm not too deep in the technical side, so I'm not really the right person to answer, but the details of that. But I mean, it's effectively like we've been, the whole project right now is built on BNB, the NFTs and the tokens and everything. It's been really good. It's really fast. Really no issues at all for that. We are planning to migrate at some point in the future to Chromia when that's live, but that's a ways away, and BNB has been a really good home.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, it's great to hear. We like great projects building on BNB Chain, so
yeah,
that's good to hear some of the feedback. Yeah, look, I think next question is more about kind of what the future holds in terms of any events. We already know and are looking forward to April 26th, the mainnet launch. Any other events, milestones, or anything that we should keep in mind, and you wanted to share with the audience?
I don't think so. We are really just focused on launch right now. I mean, I think that there are anything that would be announced in our Discord and Telegram. People should definitely check out Minds of Dalarnia, Discord and Telegram. mindsofdalarnia.com is just the website where everything links off of. Announcements would be there, and I know there's always stuff going on. There's always some kind of like promotion or something happening, but as far as major things right now, launch is consuming all of our attention.
Of course, it makes a lot of sense. We expect the launch to be successful, and we hope that this holds, and we really hope you get a lot of players on day one. So yeah, look, with that, I think we could potentially wrap up, and thanks a lot for the time and for sharing some of the updates, some of the insights as well, telling us a bit more about the genesis and the origins of the project. I think you've gone a long way, and as you mentioned, everyone's super focused and excited about the launch next week. But if you have anything else that you want to let us know about, any thoughts to share, we'd be happy to hear those. So yeah, otherwise we could wrap the session, and thank everyone for listening in. So
yeah, I mean,
any thoughts?
No, I mean, this has been great. I really want to just thank the community. I want to thank everyone on the testnet who's been incredibly helpful and instrumental in getting us to where we are. Also, the mods on Discord have been incredible as well. So yeah, the community has been fantastic and really supporting us. So I just want to make sure I shout out to them for how great they've been, and any success we have is shared by them as well. Otherwise, I think I've said everything I want to say. Really excited about getting the game out there and having people play it. And yeah, thanks, Alex, for the interview.
Amazing. Thanks a lot for everything, Keith. Yeah, look forward to the launch next week.
Great.